what are the steps of a call? A lot of techs do a really great job is like talking about the different options they have.
We have spent under 50% of what we spent last month.
The fewest amount of human beings that can buy stuff within your business, the better. Wilson just wrapped up the year in the low 20s, and we were pumped. I mean, most of the industry did not have that same level of success. And when I think about who was a huge partner for us, like top of the list was Service Scalers. We've been working with Service Scalers for a couple years now, and they've helped us drive best-in-class SEO, best-in-class PPC, and dominate LSA and GMB marketing. They've been a huge partner for us, and we're really grateful for that partnership because it's helped us to take down 46% year-over-year growth. As we think about our budget next year, we're aiming for the low 30s, and one of our most strategic partners is going to be Service Scalers. They're going to help get us there. They're going to help us stay ahead of AI. They're going to help us keep our SEO relevant. They're going to help keep us on the top exactly where we want to be. So make sure you check out servicescalers.com. Sam and his team over there is just a bunch of killers. So thank you, Service Scalers, for your partnership.
Welcome back to Owned and Operated. We have John back in the building. What's going on, John?
Dude, it's good to be back. It's January. We're doing okay.
I'm having trouble taking John seriously at the moment. He's rocking his indoor shades for all of you YouTube folks that cannot or can see him.
Yeah, no, I look great. My wife told me about this like thing that I can apparently buy contacts for a lot easier than through my eye doctor. So I got my first set the other day, and it came with these sunglasses that make me look like I'm 90 for free.
What a deal.
I am owning this look. I'm really vibing with it.
Next week I'll bring my elderly shades in so that we can both rock them.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna like legitimately use these. I feel like I look pretty good.
There you go. Well, January
29th.
Yeah. How's it treating you?
Yeah, January's been okay. So budget was 2.4, I think. And I think we're going to land 2.3.
Are about the same. I think we'll be within 10% off a budget on just slightly shy over last year, over our break even, but not to expansion goal that we were hoping. That being said, not angry about it. Not angry about it at all. So really happy. Scared shitless though going into February. So
I hate February.
Is from a financial standpoint, isn't March is probably the worst month though? Not from but from a cash flow cycle, right? Because all your bills from February hit in March. So technically I have like 4 weeks before I, cry in the corner. But definitely, not excited. It has gone from 3 degrees to 60 degrees in like a week.
Oh, whoa. That's crazy. It's still 30s here. So we still have a few more weeks of 30s.
That would be nice. Yeah. No, we hit 61 today. So it's like nice and sunny. Legitimately yesterday, I thought
that happened to us last year.
Might get our first no cool call. Like there's a chance that we bring in our first no cool.
Oh my God. Yeah, that happened last year for us in February. 70 degrees in February. It was awful. And I'm sort of deciding how to handle this. So if somebody listening is like way more mature at managing budgets than me, shoot me a DM. But right now we have 2 budgets, which I don't know that I love. But one budget is hey, this is what I think is going to happen this year budget, which January is like 2.2 million. So we are going to beat that. Which is cool. But we also do a fulfillment plan every month, and it's always going to be a little bit different because it's based on accurate staffing instead of budgeted staffing from a month ago or like a year ago. And that is 2.4. So I'm trying to figure out how to manage and like celebrate wins if there's kind of 2 different goals. Like we have the capacity to fulfill $2.435 million. Our budget is 2.27 or something, which we will pass that. So it's like we did beat budget, missed fulfillment plan. So I really don't know. It's kind of confusing. I've asked other people about it and other people don't seem to be doing that. And I find them not doing it to be really confusing. So
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. That's definitely somebody with a larger finance
nice.
background than
All right.
myself.
Whoever, if you're smart and you're listening to this, send us a message.
Yeah, especially at like 2.3. Like, if you mess that up, that's a big difference.
But yeah, so yeah, January feels okay. February, good and bad. So we do this like cash out sheet, and
Mhm.
cash out is like, it's basically our cash flow projections. And our cash flow for February looks really good. One of the interesting things that happens when you get, I don't even think it's when you get larger, because it's as a percentage of dollars, it's I think the same. But when you hone in on buying, you can get rebates.
Yeah,
And the rebates become ridiculous.
bingo.
So for us, like we have hundreds of thousands of dollars of rebates, which is essentially free cash coming in February.
So that's what we planned as well. So we have, I think it's like 30K that's going to hit
Yeah.
from last year's rebates in February from
Right.
a cash flow perspective, as well as we're selling a large piece of equipment that should hit in February as well. So, I mean,
Nice.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, that's the planning that we undertook to focus on rebates at the end of last year. And then focus on, hey, when are we going to close this piece of equipment we no longer use out?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question though. So this is purely selfish curiosity. Plumbing, is plumbing also pretty terrible in February, or does it save it? Because HVAC historically is absolute garbage, but
Yeah.
does plumbing kind of help reduce that burden?
Yeah. Like plumbing fluctuates less.
Does it
I
still,
also
is it
think
still a down month though overall?
tends to be, but some of
Okay.
that is like working days, right? Like how many working days are in the month?
Yeah.
This year, I actually don't think is that bad. This year, there's 20 working days in February. But there have been years where there's like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So just from a working day perspective, it's just the shortest month, which for us, we do $110,000 a day. That's a lot. You know, you lose $100,000 because someone decided February should be 28 days.
Yeah. They should have known that they're messing with the trades.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on. Who planned
Come
this?
on. Yeah. I do. The larger we've gotten, the more I've understood like people just running like arbitrary 30-day budgets instead of monthly. Because it does feel a little bit more consistent.
And so to change gears,
plumbing tends to be steadier. The standard objection that we start getting this time of year is like, I want to wait for tax money.
Yeah, no, we've heard that as well. But I'm very glad that the Christmas holiday season objection's over, because that one is rough to overcome.
Yeah, they all tend to slow down a little bit. Drains get slow when it's cold. So there's a slow time for drains. It does start ramping up in April. The ground gets really wet, tons of downspout calls. Electric actually kind of gets weird depending on if there's snow or not. Like if there's a ton of snow, electric is cooking because that ice brings power lines down. But if it's too cold, electric stops dead because nobody wants to turn their power off because that's controlling their heat. Yeah. So we had this amazing sales month in January for electric, but the install is like $200,000 behind because we had this week in the negatives and nobody wanted to turn their power off because it's negative 20.
Yeah. You turn your power off for a day and you're absolutely
frozen pipes.
frigid. Yeah.
You got frozen pipes, which is what happened. We had a ton of frozen pipes. So plumbing is just kind of consistent. The big thing that we work hard on this time of year is our conversion rate. And we went into it heavy this year because we know hey, we're going to have less at bats this time of year. Mm-hmm. If you're used to running 4 calls a day, you're probably going to run 3. And that's just like how this goes. Now we're going to really fight to get you those 4, but that's our standard. So you have one less opportunity every single day. So your conversion rate has to cover that. You have to be able to step it up. So we've been spending a ton of energy on increasing our conversion rate just to be better, but also focused on Q1.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big deal, right? Is if you're going to drop to 3 calls, you need to cover that somehow. And that covering is making sure that you're selling higher average tickets and then that you're actually converting on those more jobs. Tickets.
And just from to dummy it down even more, if your closing rate's normally 50%, you see 4 jobs a day, you sell 2 jobs a day. Mm-hmm. If your closing rate is 50%, and you see 3 jobs a day, you're only selling 1.5.
So what are you focusing on though? Because there's a few different ways that people look at it. They look at it from an average ticket point of view. They look at it from a percent conversion rate. Because if you converted 100%, but that 100% is like average ticket of 190, what we tend to see and what we're trying to fix on our graph is as conversion rate increases, your average ticket is dropping. And that's the opposite of what you want, right? You want your average ticket to stay steady and conversion rate to go up, or your average ticket to go up and conversion rate to go up. Mm-hmm. And so we've been fighting that kind of from the beginning is, oh, this person has an amazing conversion rate, but yeah, he has half the average ticket. Of course it's going to be amazing, right? If you're giving away free this and free that, of course the customer's going to quote unquote convert at a lower rate. So when you're looking at that, how do you get the graph to go up and to the right for both?
What we're spending a ton of time on is quality of options and pre-setting the call, and really like call by call management as a whole is built around this. What I'm going to say is like sales 101 stuff. We might've even said on the podcast before,
probably,
but it's all the little things that add up to that conversion rate. So the little things is like, are we talking to the customer? Are we listening to the customer? Are we hearing what they want? One of my best examples of like a terrible call is we do this secret shopping thing once or twice a year where we bring out a competitor, we secret shop them. Like, hey, like what are they doing better? What are they doing worse? We had a secret shop last year, and funny enough, it was actually somebody we interviewed for like a job, the tech that showed up. So we declined bringing him on, and this was like a month later, but it was just sort of like a funny coincidence. So anyway, so this guy came in, and it was to like look at a toilet. So, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to go through the whatever. We get the options at the end written on a piece of paper, and the options were like toilet, which is why he was there. And then he had never talked about anything else. He just like came in, looked at the toilet. He was like, great, I'll come back with a price. He came back with this. So he's got the toilet repair or toilet replacement. I don't think there's a repair. And then a water heater, just like a freaking water heater. Which if the customer asked you to look at it, or if you asked probing questions, like if you like did anything, I'm like, okay, he didn't even go in the basement.
That's the best.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like he literally did not walk into that basement. He doesn't even know what water heater they have. And he gave them a water heater, like a 50-gallon and a tankless. It was wild. So I think, and my point in saying this is it's a lot of the little stuff that stacks up. So how much time are we spending listening? Are we asking like, hey, what do you want us here to do? Like, why are we here? Hey, you're here to look at my toilet. All right, great. So we can repair it, we can replace it, we can upgrade it. Like there's 3 options. Awesome. And that company probably, like us, has a 3-option rule. You can't leave without 3 options. But the problem is that those are like 3 fake options.
Yeah. And nobody's holding that tech accountable, so that he's just slapping those options in there, and then someone.
Well, and it's written on a piece of paper, which I'm sure somebody got to save some money, but like that company doesn't even probably know what options that tech presented.
The one thing that I will say, if you start doing this model, and what we found out the hard way is, when your techs are giving BS options, because the customer starts calling in and goes, is this an invoice? Why are you guys charging me? Why am I paying? What is this about this and this? They start asking all the questions because they get an invoice or an estimate sheet, and the estimate sheet has, a water heater, and they say, why is there a water heater on here? So it's pretty easy to find out if your techs aren't doing the proper procedure. That being said, definitely. We've gone through this before a few times, but making sure that the questions being asked are pertinent to the job at hand.
Yeah. Nexstar does, but like, so if you're in one of these other groups, they all have a version of this. You can come up with your own too, but like, hey, what are the steps of a call? So Nexstar's got the greet step, which is just like, hey, what's up? I'm John. I'm here to check out your thing. The explore step is the second one, and it is important because it covers all this. We're like, hey, let's go explore. Let's look at the problem. Can you show me where the water meter is in case I need it? Can you show me this? Can you show me that? Can walk me through your issue. Why am I here today? And really like spending time trying to understand, like, why did they take time out of their day? Because then a lot of times they'll just walk you through it. I was on a ride along last week, and the guy I was with did a really great explore step. And all he really did was like, he's like, hey, come on, let's go take a look at the furnace. And the homeowners like walked us through everything that was going on. And like, he did a great job of explaining what his pain point was. And he was like, hey, I know it's old. When I called you guys, I was thinking about replacement already. And like, the door got opened without us having to do anything. Now, granted, it also was a cracked heat exchanger, and the hole was like fist size. It was really kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because that was a really effective explorer. Like, hey, let's go together. Let's look at this. And then as you're talking, you start building options in your head, and those options should be relevant. But that's how you increase conversion rate is you just literally listen to what people want, and then you offer them what they want, what they ask for.
What's interesting there too is that I find a lot of sales, one of the keys to sales, which is missed sometimes with the technicians, is, and we talked about this with Joe C. I forget his last name. Cicero.
Yeah, Joe Crisero. Yeah. Service MVP.
Yeah, he was talking about the entire emotional sale aspect, which made us reevaluate quite a bit of what we did because there's an importance there, right? That was also a great building rapport step, right?
Yeah.
They're sitting there, you're listening to the customer, you're actually putting what the customer wants, you're taking the time to make the customer feel heard. Like there's an entire emotional connection that happens between the technician and the homeowner versus the technician going, hey, what's the issue? Oh, furnace not working. Goes downstairs by himself, tinkers, bangs some things, goes upstairs and goes, oh, cracking heat exchanger. We're going to have to cut off your unit or you buy a new one. Right. Which is what happens a lot of times is they skip this entire, hey, asking questions. Let me hear what's going on with you. What's your situation? What are you looking to do today? So very interesting. So you did this ride along. Awesome. The technician went through the options in his head. I'm sure he then flipped the unit, but on a non-flip, maybe even a less kind of obvious, let's go back to that toilet example. You have the repair, replace, upgrade. I mean, what are you having the technicians? What kind of questions are they asking to maybe open doors into other realms?
I think a lot of it. So on that same day, I just rode along for the whole day. On that same day, we went to a furnace with a weird smell, and we got there, and it was a weird smell. It's like, all right, hey, this is kind of weird. What do we got cooking here? And he did a really great job, just like asking probing questions, like, hey, what room do you smell it in the most? Like, what's it smell like? We actually couldn't smell it at the time when we first got there, and like, hey, what's important to you? And he did a good job of just like bringing up like, hey, I'm not here to force anything on you, but like, this is an option that exists. Like this product exists. And it was a very like low risk way to present it. Now I will say that there was some feedback I gave later, but it was basically like, hey, yeah, you've got a weird smell. Here's a couple things that we can do. And after I investigated the problem, it was a 50-year-old humidifier that had basically rotted from the inside. There was a ton of mold inside the humidifier. So like valid problem. So, hey, I think we start with the duct cleaning. This thing's been blowing mold around. Let's clean out the ducts, sanitize them. You can either replace or get rid of that humidifier, but that thing does, if you want the smell to go away and you want to breathe clean air, that should come out of there. And finally, you can put the Cadillac thing on, which is this UV air purifier. And so like you've got a $700 option, you have a $1,600 option, and you have a $1,500 option, which is the UV light. And she ended up, I think, $2,400 later. She did the first two, and I think he did a good job. Now, I will say what a lot of techs do a really great job is like talking about the different options they have. What's really helped can increase conversion rate after like, hey, oh yeah, you can do this, is you do eventually have to ask for the sale, which like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be intimidating because a lot of techs, like, I don't think it's hard selling. It's like, hey, here's the options I presented. Which one do you want to move forward with?
Yeah.
And it's just like that last sentence, because it was kind of funny. Like we ended up leaving that job where he did such an amazing job presenting options. And I was like, we actually didn't ask for the sale. Like, we just didn't say like, do you want to do this? We just left. It was kind of like a weird way to end it. And then our inside sales team ended up closing it like a couple hours later. Earlier this year, we started an outbounding campaign and we really didn't know where to begin. So we were using dialing on the phones. We were sending text messages. We were trying emails, tried a couple different softwares, and ultimately we ended up with Hatch. Hatch has been an awesome partner for us. We started with them about 5 or 6 months ago, and we've just continued to ramp. every month we add 3 or 4 more automations. And my personal favorite thing about working with Hatch is Hatch comes out of the box ready to go. With Hatch, you get automated multi-touch outreach across text, voicemail drop, email, and a ton more. So every single lead that you have gets worked. Every invoice that you leave gets retouched and rehashed, and it's freaking awesome. Check out usehatchapp.com/OAO.
I find that that's a case in a lot of times where people have low conversion rate is they don't ask at the end because they're scared of the actual close. They're scared of the objection or the no, or how to overcome that objection. So if
or they're used to flipping, which is what I've seen in HVAC a lot.
Really?
Hey, I don't have to close. I flip it to the comfort advisor. The comfort advisor closes. But so they never gained that skill of like how to ask for the close, because that is a skill.
Well, I mean, the close there is the flip, and it's an easy because it's a $0, right? You don't have to ask for money. You don't have to ask for them to agree.
Well, it's passing the ball. It's like, hey, you want to talk to my teammate?
Exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, right, it's a different type of flip. It's a different type of sale. I still consider it, a decent close because you're getting to the final what you wanted. You did bring up some really interesting points. I'd like to kind of like round this out real quick. It's interesting because when we talked to Avoca, right, the gentleman, do you remember Tyson? Thank you. Tyson was talking a lot about it wasn't Tyson, it was Sebastian with Rilla. And he was talking about, right, the best comfort advisors, they ask questions, they slow down their cadence. And I find that, once you're using those same type of tools and you realize, oh, actually I should be asking questions. I shouldn't be telling the consumer about this, and this. I should be really focusing on, hey, what about this smell bothers you? Where do you smell it? Just like you were mentioning, it really ends up driving that point home and getting you closer to the conversion versus going in, I smell this, and tell. You have to ask those probing questions to make them feel heard and to get to the bottom of it.
It can be like softer than that. It can also just be like, hey, what's the outcome you're looking for here? Like, okay, I want the smell to go away. Okay, after the smell, let's say we solve that. Like, what do you want to do after that? Like, do you care a lot about purified air? In this case, she had a newborn. So like, yeah, she did. Right. Yeah. Like that's really important to her. But I think it can be pretty low lift and pretty almost like definitely social over coffee. That's my personal way to sell, is just like, what do you got going on? I bet I have a solution. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. And the other cool thing that I noticed from your story or your case study example was that what you ended up doing, which I feel like a lot of technicians miss, and if you're having trouble getting to a point, or where we had trouble specifically, I can't speak for every company, where we had trouble getting to a point to offer, was the issue was that not all technicians were looking for the root of the issue. So for example, right, they show up, boom, it's a bad, or it's there's a leaking faucet in the house, right? We'll stay with plumbing. There's a leaking faucet. They come in, okay, there's your repair, replace, upgrade on your faucet. Boom, done. And they step out. In my mind, you missed the entirety of the issue. The issue wasn't necessarily that the faucet was leaking. It was that the PRV's bad. And so the pressure on the house is 110, 115. And we left, not only do we have a warranty on the back end of this because this is way over pressurized and it's going to leak again, but B, we missed the potential to do the right thing and have a win-win-win situation, right? The technician wins because he offered the PRV, he makes more money. The company wins because they generated more revenue, and the consumer wins because they got not only their leak fixed, but they got their pressure fixed so that their entire house is covered. And so what we implemented was called the full system evaluation. Is we always focus on our call-by-call managers are all focusing on what is the actual root of the problem. Like what causes that smell? Oh, you could just go and do a eye wave and a duct cleaning, but that wouldn't have actually solved the issue because you still have a old 50-year-old humidifier just like dumping mold into the house. Yes, it probably would have been clean. It would have been UV sanitized and you wouldn't smell it because the eye wave ions and all this kind of garbage. But it didn't fix the root.
Mold. Right. Still mold.
Do you use that full evaluation?
Something I'm thinking a lot about is like, obviously we do the Breaking 5 workshop. You should check it out on unoperated.com/workshop.
Good.
Nice plug.
Nice plug.
Thanks. What we are thinking a lot about is running a call by call workshop, because I think a lot of this, how do we get to the root issue? The way we solve this and coach on this is every single call. Like you're talking to and now you can graduate out of it, but someone else is helping you catch your blind spots. Because even if you're the best person in the world, if you see 20 calls a week or 25 calls a week, you're going to have a blind spot on one or two of them. I'm like, oh, dude, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about I came here to look at a faucet. I wasn't thinking about the PRV. I wasn't. Or like the expansion tank or whatever. It just wasn't even on my brain. I was here thinking about this. Really easy to get blinders on. So I think that's a big benefit of having a type of call by call structure, is because someone is constantly like helping you along.
Well, especially like you said, it was negative degrees where you were last week. I mean, when you're running 6 or 7 calls, the full evaluation always isn't at the top of the mind, but it's so important making sure, right? Because you walk out of the house, you didn't win. Even though you solved the customer's you band-aided the customer's immediate problem, it wasn't a win. And you'll be back there for a warranty on that same faucet, most likely. The fact that somebody's there sitting with you actually making sure that, hey, did you check the PRV? Like, did you go through and find the root of why this was leaking? Did you check the other faucets to make sure they weren't leaking? Because that's the last thing that you need, is to walk out of the house and then that one's leaking. They call you back, you fix that one, and then they go, well, why do all these keep leaking? And they call another company out, and then now you guys are in trouble. So it's super interesting. A call by call workshop would be I probably would attend just for my own sake. I think it'd be really helpful. Yeah,
there's a few things we do that we think are like really unique. People just have a ton of questions about them. But like call by call, the way we do call by call is very unique. The way we do the sales install model for plumbing and electric is very unique. Honestly, the way we do warehousing is very unique, because the Breaking 5 is obviously like, it's really good. We're on our third one, like third sold out. Like that's really cool. I'm glad we're like helping people. That's cool. But we're thinking about these last, like, okay, this is interesting. Sales install model is really interesting. Here's exactly how to do it.
That's definitely, so I mean, to circle back around, like that is how we helped our team go from struggling and really trying, like, hey, what's this other, like, what do we need to add? You know, we focus on repair, refurbish, replace. We don't do and then maybe a premium option, but really it's questions. Hey, you know, you're changing out this toilet. Are there any other toilets that are these low boys that you wanted to change for different ones? Sorry, John just put on his back his stun of shades inside. Makes me giggle. And so, but the full system evaluation is what really helped us. I mean, how can you truly do a service and build value for that customer?
Well, and that's the Explorer. You can call it whatever you want, but that's like walking through like all the stuff.
Yeah. That's also how we hire too, surprisingly, is we try to make sure that the person has the mindset that they would naturally do a full system evaluation. There's a lot of plumbers who we brought out and they said, oh yeah, we just, what do? You snake the drain and then get paid and leave. And I'm like, no. Like,
so it's like root cause. It's like,
why?
Root
why
cause
did
people.
It clog?
Yeah.
And most, it makes sense to me, but for a lot of people, it doesn't. And what we found is our best hires have actually been people who have sat there and said, well, I'd probably check the drain after for roots, or if it was uneven, or if there was a break or something, because they understand that there's a cause and effect versus just, oh, you snake the drain and go. And I'm like, yeah, you're missing something there.
Conversion rate, especially when there's less calls on the board, is sort of the ultimate thing, because budget's still roughly the same. And I know for us, we've been really like honing it out over the past month or two, but we're spending even more time focusing on it now, because there will be a little bit less calls in plumbing, electric over the next couple months, or there's going to be more membership calls. So we have to really hone in on like good listening, good options. Like, is this something that they want? Is it something that they need? Did they bring it up? How did it come about? Or did we just walk in the house and assume they needed a tankless, which is like what that one guy did, which is crazy.
Speaking of that, big update. I know this is extremely off topic, but a couple months ago, we were talking about actually the first of the year, we were talking about how we implemented our no charging, or our techs no longer having access to credit cards or POs. We had to do it through a purchaser on our team.
Okay. Yeah.
Take away purchasing from the front line
Love it.
and forcing them to utilize in stock what we already have.
Yeah.
We have spent under 50% of what we spent last month.
Oh, dude. I know.
Under 50%.
I know.
And on top of that, so we spent 50% less
Yep.
on COGS, but also like we are more revenue.
I know.
So higher revenue, half the spend. Like absolutely
it's so ridiculous.
mind-blowing.
It's so ridiculous. I remember, and I think the thing that blows my mind about this the most, and this is like, I don't know if we need to do like a deep dive, like online workshop or something. Cause like, this is just people. Yeah, this is ridiculous. But we had the folks from Radiant down in Austin up here like 2 weeks ago.
That's cool.
It was Woody and a couple managers there, and it was a lot of fun. And their guys still had full access to supply houses. They're $60 million. And I'm like, you could shave off 200 grand a month of expenses if you just cut access.
Yeah.
If people can spend, they will spend. And if they can't spend, they won't spend. And like that sums up purchasing. So the fewest amount of human beings that can buy stuff within your business, the better. And I would say that is across the board. Like we're right now, we did this in the field years ago. We're just now doing it administratively, where every dollar needs to go through a purchasing agent for like office supplies, everything, because it's all the same thing. And we're probably going to save 20 grand a month from just like people not being able to just whip out a card. It is a huge deal.
I had to do the update. I'm so excited.
I'm glad it was a win.
Like already a win, and not only a win. Like sometimes it takes months to see wins.
Yes.
Like, hey, we're doing this, and it's going to take 6 months. No, this was month 1, 50%, and I'm looking at like my inventory and stuff. I haven't even seen a dent in like.
Oh yeah. Well, it's either theft or truck stock. That's where it all goes. Theft or truck stock.
And I think it just goes like. It goes to truck stock or warehouse stock because you don't have warehouse stock, but we have like historical warehouse stock that we're trying to burn through 50,000. But if you have 50,000 and it's supposed to be, say 20% or 30% of 50,000 in stock inside a warehouse, and it's supposed to be 30% of whatever each job. I mean, it's like equivalent to $1 million that we'd have to sell to equal what we have sitting here that nobody's using because they're just going to Home Depot. It's right there. Boom. Right. So anyway, I'm off my pedestal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I just wanted to share that win. I'm really excited moving forward about this. And then we're going to start doing that is like cutting back the managers that get that too, because I mean, I still see kind of where the holes are. And like you said, you know,
the less people that buy, the more control you get over it. And like, it creates some headache. It will slow some stuff down. But I know for us, when we did it, we did save $1 million that first year. It was $80,000 a month in saved like over expense, and like people just buying whatever they needed. Like, we buy whatever we needed and became truck stock and then disappeared, or it went back to the shop and it became shock stock and then it became outdated, and $80,000 a month.
Crazy. I'm so surprised that I'm even able to say this.
If everyone's convinced their purchasing is tight, and then because if everyone can purchase, then everyone's going to buy. So stop it. Stop it.
And that's what it is. It's like, it just naturally flows that way. So nothing to do with conversions, but super exciting win.
Hey man, Q1 cash is cash, baby.
That's why we're pumped about it. Cause we're actually like in a bad quarter climbing our way up already. So
that's a huge win.
Super exciting.
Sweet. Well, conversion rate especially matters in Q1. Also, just outside of Q1, segue. If you want to hit up our Breaking 5 workshop, I actually don't even know how many more seats there are available, so I should probably check with Kristen before doing more of these plugs. But check it out. I think we're in the 20s, and we cap it at 30. But 20-some people, so it should be fun. This is the fun part of like doing it. Like this is our third one. So it's fun. We have like 60 graduates now, which is kind of cool.
The cool part too is like all these graduates come back, and I talk to almost every one of them. Not almost everyone,
Yeah.
probably 50% of them fairly regularly. Like Thomas, he's on the Facebook page quite a bit. Shout out Thomas.
Yeah.
He just texted me yesterday. He's like, dude, send me those Maverick pictures. I was like, ooh, Maverick
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
are my deal.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love my Mavericks. So I sent them over to him. Like, it's cool to have it helps build our community. I know they all talk to each other. It's really exciting, and I'm happy to do this third one.
Yeah. No, it'll be fun. But yeah, ownedandoperated.com. Hit the workshop button. It'll be fun.
Thanks.
Kristen, if we're out of seats, I'm sorry. All right. Thanks for tuning in.